Good morning, good morning, good morning. It is the Heart-Based Business Show today, and it's going to be fun because we're going to be together, and I'm going to share a very special story that my grandfather taught me. Would you like to hear that? You know, my Grandpa Lew gave me the greatest wisdom as a child. And I loved the free spirit that he was. And he was so peaceful and so calm, other than fighting with my grandmother. But the reality was he lived his life the way he wanted to live his life. He was a very happy man, and he was at peace most of the time. And he taught me how to live my life. And I still live my life that way today. So I'm going to share a story with you that I think you're going to find really fun and interesting. And you're going to be surprised what he compared life to. I will be right back. And welcome back. You know, today's an exciting day for me because I've never really shared anything from Grandpa Lew, and he was there my whole life. Such a huge influence on me. So here's how it went. He would use things in life to teach me important lessons. So when I was a child, he took me to see a steam locomotive engine. Have you ever seen one of those? If you haven't, look it up because you'll be amazed at what it looks like. And as we sat together in the car, side by side, just the two of us, at the edge of the railroad tracks, he pointed out the steam that was emitting like a big white cloud from every part of the engine. And it was truly an amazing sight to see as a kid. And it's really an amazing sight to see as an adult too. And I'd never seen this before. And while we sat in the quiet of the car, listening to the rumble of the locomotive going by, I was just in awe at what I was experiencing because I was a kid. And Grandpa explained that it took an enormous amount of energy and friction to pull all the heavy cargo cars that were behind it. And they had a specific place where they wanted to go. And he compared this visual with how most people live their lives. Can you imagine that? He had such an imagination. I just loved it. And so he said, and I quote, "People use a tremendous amount of energy daily to keep working and create a great deal of friction in their relationships because they have specific beliefs and refuse to let others have theirs." Talk about insightful. And then he went on to say, it takes a huge amount of energy to drive our bodies so we can reach our goals and what we want to achieve, end quote. Now, when you think about this big billow of smoke, actually steam, not even smoke, it was steam that was coming out of the engine. It was coming out of every little hole in the whole locomotive. It was just everywhere. It was like in a cloud. So when we're running as fast as we're running, we're creating a great deal of friction. And the reason we're running is why? Because we believe in materialism. We constantly are striving for more stuff, and then we get that stuff, and then we want more stuff. And that's the energy we burn to keep working to buy that stuff. If you ever sit down and think about all the stuff that you've bought that you only used for a short period of time and then tossed it out, oh my gosh. Think of how much money you burned through and used energy and friction with everybody around you to get where you want to go. And that stuff doesn't even have any meaning. I just saw this with a friend whose parents passed away. And Oh, I don't even know how to tell you. They had so much stuff in every cupboard, in every closet. Just the kitchen had 2 or 3 things that were exactly the same. And it's all because they were in different places and they weren't organized. And so they had all this stuff. They just kept buying stuff when they couldn't find things. Are you doing that? Think about it. Think about how much energy it takes to go out and buy that and bring it back, and then you use it a few times, and then you stuff it away, and then you send it all to a charity. And that's what she was doing. All these things they'd collected, Hummels, and I mean, there was just 15 years of National Geographics that she had to get rid of because they thought that it was going to be a, something that was worth something in the future. But they're not worth anything, are they? And neither are the Hummels and all these other things that they collected, these figurines, and oh my gosh, so much stuff. And how much would they have had to work if they didn't have all that stuff that they needed to accumulate? From my certified financial educator side, I want to tell you that every dollar you spend is another dollar you have to make. Think about it. And if it's not just for food and it's for stuff that you keep thinking you have to have, then you have to keep working in order to maintain that stuff. And that's what Grandpa was talking about, how important it is for us to really look at the stuff we have to have, the materialistic things that we have to have in our lives, and rethink our thought. Rethink, do we really need that? Is that something I really have to have? Or is it just something I want? It's an interesting way to weigh your life. And I've been doing that because I appreciate what Grandpa told me. And that's the needs. Those are the needs that Grandpa was talking about. And he said that utilizing so much energy in your life to work, to go get these things that you're not even going to use later on, that's a lot of energy. And I did that once for a house. Let me just tell you this briefly. I had my own company at the time. I had so much work to do because I was a document signing agent. And I thought maybe I would just do 7 signings a day and work toward that, because that I worked for only 1 year in my life, and 7 signings a day, only 5 days a week, would have paid what I earned. So that was a pretty good deal, right? So maybe 5 hours a day. But the problem is that I ended up with so many orders because I had so many title companies and realtors and lenders that I was working for, that I ended up doing 10 a day and working so many hours. And I thought of the steam engine at the time because I wasn't eating well. I wasn't sleeping well because I was working from 7 in the morning until 10 at night. And guess what? Just like Grandpa said, I ended up in the hospital. And he said this about the locomotive, that it takes so much energy and so much friction to get down the tracks that a locomotive ends up in the shop all the time because the parts wear out. Well, my parts were wearing out too, and I almost died. I came very close to dying. And I was very dedicated to my job, to my business. But why was I doing it? I was doing it because I wanted to buy this beautiful house that we were building. I wanted to be able to keep up. And I made $300,000 that year and had to give $100,000 to the IRS. Now, how much friction did I burn up and how much energy did I waste to earn $100,000 for the IRS? You think about it. And that day, when I had to write out that $100,000 check for the IRS, I was devastated. And I thought seriously about what Grandpa had shared with me. And I'm sharing this with you because I want you to really think about how much money you have to really have. How much money does it really take to live on for you each month? Because if you think about sales, which I teach, as you know, that's all the money that you need to make in your sales. You don't have to make a pile of money. All you have to make is enough to live on that month, enough to pay your mortgage or your rent, enough to buy your groceries, enough to put gas in your car. And that's all you need. And to make your car payment if you have one. I don't happen to have a car payment. And that's another thing, is when you accrue a lot of debt, you have to keep running. You have to keep moving down the track in order to pay for the debt. And how much illness do you have in your body? And have you been in the hospital? Or how many times have you been to the doctor to fix things in your body because you've been overworking? You see, Grandpa told me that life is a vision of how much steam and energy you've released in the past to move through the years here on earth. However your body is right now, and whatever disease you have or whatever illness you have is all about your immunity system and how much energy you've used to maintain your body. But the problem is that if we use too much energy, like me, when I was doing way too much work, and I ended up in the hospital and I almost died. I almost killed myself working for my own business. Can you believe that? I was working for myself and I almost killed myself from overwork. And it's because I wasn't thinking about Grandpa and what he had said at that time. Do you know that science says if you are joyful and peaceful, you will be successful? Think about that. If you are joyful and peaceful, you will be successful. Because peaceful, does that seem like you're burning a lot of energy and creating a lot of friction around you? No, that's not what it is at all. Peaceful is just relaxed, going with the flow, enjoying your life, enjoying every experience for the positive, even if it's not the most positive at that time. So the thing is that if you can stop letting fear drive you, then you can maintain this peacefulness. You know, my clients often say, you know, my experiences are extremely difficult. The people around me are impossible. And I get so stressed and angry. And it seems that no matter what I do, I can't make it right. I get that. I really get that. But Wayne Dyer said something, and I use his quote all the time. And that is, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. He was my teacher on Maui. And I just adored following him and working with him and learning his thought process. And when you say, and here's what he said, when you say, I believe, I belong, I identify with this, it means you are literally sleeping through life. Assuming that other people are right and what you've been told by other people and you decide to believe it means you're just comfortable with what someone else has told you. We're raised that way, right? Our parents tell us you can do this, you can do that. I believe in this, I believe in that. I don't like this food, I don't like that food. And then we assume what they've taught us is true. We don't question. You know, I happen to grow up in a time where our quote was question authority. It's all I've ever done is question authority, because questioning authority keeps you at peace. You ask, is that really true? Am I absolutely sure that that is really true? Do I know that for sure? Katie Byron has made a fortune off of this one question. Is that absolutely true? Do I know that to be completely true? What I'm telling you is to question the American dream. Question everything that's going on, because if you don't begin questioning and you just believe and you decide that you're going to identify with this, that, or the other thing, that's what causes friction. Because once you believe it and you identify with it, you have to defend it. Am I right? Here's a perfect example. Those who go to church identify with whatever that religion is. They strongly believe whatever anyone has told them, and they don't question it. But if somebody questions their belief, they become very defensive, which causes a lot of friction in a relationship. Agree? That's just an example. I've seen it happen over and over. And now we've got it with politics. This group wants this group wants that. They believe this person is right. They believe that person is right. And then they cause friction in their relationships. And they burn off a lot of steam that they don't need to burn off. So this is why I'm talking to you about this today. See, in this 1 week, how many things you identify with, and just write them down. Seriously, write them down. One could be, am I Democrat or am I Republican? Another could be, I believe in this religion, I believe in that religion. Why do you believe in it? You came here to Earth without a belief in your mind. You were such a pure little soul. And all you needed was to be fed and have your diaper changed and to be loved and to feel that love. Not everybody's that lucky, but most babies are loved. So that's the way you came to Earth. You had none of these beliefs to stand on. You had none of these things that people have told you that you chose to believe. You hadn't gone to school yet. It wasn't, in your mind, one country against another country. There was none of this. And you probably lived a happy little life because you didn't know any of this as a child. But now you're an adult. And you feel like you have to identify and believe and defend for your own integrity, when the truth is your integrity has nothing to do with any of that, and you don't have to do any of it. You can just sit back and watch and see what happens. It's like watching a soap opera. You don't have to be a part of it if you choose not to, because then you don't have to expend that energy to defend that belief, and you don't have the friction in your body of the anger that it causes while you defend it. I bet you never thought about this. But think about it. Write down those beliefs. Write down what it is that you jump to defend. This is why you have anxiety as an adult, is because you've taken on layers of these beliefs that are associated with negative emotions. And it's what I spend day after day relieving from my clients, removing all that negativity so that they can live a life of peace and be successful. This is what I'm talking about. And this is what Grandpa was talking about. Because what happens within you and the life you've created is all based on every unconscious decision you've ever made. And here's another thing that Grandpa told me. The ugly truth is that if you think life is about steaming down the tracks, using tons of energy and making friction with everybody you're surrounded with, you'll always be stuck on the side rail going nowhere. Think about that. You know what the side rail is? It's when they pull the train off because they want to wait for more cars to come that they can hook onto it, or it's just sitting there until they use it later. You go nowhere. That's what the side rail is for the railroad tracks. So life is not about money, the car you drive, or how many toys you have. Or it's all about what goes on within you. Life is all about the lessons you are learning and the mistakes you make, because that's what teaches you. That's what provides your learning experience. So don't be angry about the mistakes you've made in the past. Be grateful for each one that's come into your life, and think about how much you've learned as a result of that mistake, or that problem that showed up, or that lesson you were meant to learn, because that's all mistakes are. They're just lessons. And you may learn them over and over and over and say, oh my gosh, why does this keep happening? That's what I hear my clients say all the time. Why does this keep happening? I can't figure it out. Well, it keeps happening because it's a lesson that you are meant to learn in this lifetime that you haven't yet learned. You know it's happening because it happens with different situations, different people, and different things, and trying to achieve different things that maybe you don't even need. That's what I was talking about earlier. Think about these things that you don't need. A really good friend told me once, if you want to buy something, decide, do you need it or do you just want it? If you just want it, you don't need it. If you really need it, then you got to have a reason for why you need it. So having a whole closet full of shoes probably isn't something you need. You probably only need 4 or 5 pairs of shoes. Think about this. And all the rest of the other 20 pairs of shoes, you burned energy and had friction in order to earn those shoes. And then you went right back to work because you probably put it on your credit card and had to burn more energy just to pay the credit card. Do you see where I'm going with this? This is why I wanted to have this conversation with you. Think about it. Do I need it or do I want it? How much energy do I want to expend in order to get it? And then if I get it, am I going to be happy? Or is it just going to hang out in my closet? Or is it third thing of the same thing that got just put in a different shelf? Because I tell you what, you've got to ask yourself, how much stuff do I want to leave my kids to clean out when I'm gone? Because they're going to get a true essence of who you are when that time comes. And how much money have I wasted on all this stuff? Really think about it. And then decide from this point on, am I going to expend more energy and have it come out of all my pores and everything so that I can keep up with all these other people? Or do I really need it? If you really need it, you got a great excuse. But a bigger TV is not something you need. Because then you put it on your credit card, then you got to work hard, and then you got to pay for it. Think before you do things so that you don't make the same mistake over and over and over. Learn how to be at peace in the world in every moment. And if you don't know how, please come to me. I'll take care of it for you so that you don't have to have fear and anxiety and stress. I can help you with that. Give me a chance. And I'll put my connection so you can do a link with me and schedule an appointment and just talk to me. If you say that you heard this on my show, I'm happy to talk to you. Okay? So think about this. Everything you want to do needs to be at peace. If you're driven by your needs and your wants, there will always be friction, illness, and pain. Not only that, your ego and your brain will totally suffer. So think about the track and the locomotive with all the steam billowing out of it. And don't be like that. Shift your thought process so that you're in control of your life, so that you are at peace and you don't have to keep making more money to pay for stuff you really don't need. Okay, everybody, that's it for today. I hope you are successful in all your endeavors. I hope that you really listen to this message and it means something to you. And if you haven't joined the Authors and Speakers Visibility Playground, please do that. We would love to have you in the group. And do you know that every Thursday at 10 o'clock, we even have a group that meets that gives each other referrals. You get to speak in the group. And if you participate in the group as a whole, the Authors and Speakers Visibility Playground, I'll put you on Ask the Expert, which we do on Fridays. And if you haven't had a chance to pick up my book, Selling Through Your Heart, you might want to consider that. It's done very, very well. It has 4 awards, and it's an international bestseller. And you can see up there, it's even in Spanish now. So if you speak Spanish, this might be perfect for you. And here is the version in English. And you can get it on Amazon. Just go to Selling Through Your Heart and go ahead and get it there. So thank you for listening to me today. Thank you for being a part of today for me. And I love that Sonia Farrell's been with me, and Shirlene Lovegrove, and John Hyten's been here too. And thank you so much for being a part of this. And as I said, when you change the way you think of things, the way you think changes. Okay, so thank you so much. Have a great day, everybody. And I look forward to seeing you next Wednesday on the Heart-Based Business Show. See you then.